Why is compassion so lacking from our leadership today? Why is there so little evidence of compassion in the people who lead us? Now, this isn't just the case in our political leaders, it's actually the case across our society, and it stemmed from a process that's taken decades for us to move away from sort of focus on what's in the maximum interest for the maximum number of people to what's in the interest of various other small things that have been put in the way, that have been given prominence and preeminence in the face of a changing and evolving society and market. So if you look at corporations, for example, in the corporate world, the fundamental has become shareholder value, has become profit. And these things have superseded any sense of compassion whatsoever. That is also the same in politics. And we see that in politics, it's become more and more a sort of sport where one team should beat the other team. And we see that particularly in right-wing politics, where the overriding goal for some time now has been to own the libs. The idea that people on the left need to be humiliated and punished and beaten to the ground. Nothing to do about what's right for society and what will produce the maximum good for the maximum number of people. Now, let's be clear about this. On the left and the right, on both sides of the political spectrum, there have always been people who have been guided by compassion. The right of politics used to always be about that too, as well as the left. It's not exclusive property of the left. Centre-right people have a decent, patriotic understanding of what is right for the country as well, or a desire to do what is right for the country. But gradually that got taken over by this sort of sporting, this competition, this desire to crush the opponents. Now, one of the reasons this has happened is because in order for us to be compassionate towards others, we have to start by being compassionate to ourselves. And that lack of space for self-reflection, for self-compassion, has been the driver of a lack of compassion in society at large and a lack of compassion in leadership in particular. You see, I remember, back in the George Bush days actually, or even the H.W. Bush days, when people talked about the idea of therapy being stupid, that we're not a family that analyses ourselves, we don't do ridiculous things like that. Just the idea of being self-aware was looked down upon, especially by parts of the right, but just across society as a whole. But we can only really be compassionate as a society if we start by being compassionate to ourselves. And that starts by actually giving presence, by giving some attention to ourselves. Now, the Buddha was someone who was a world expert on this, one of the first philosophers to talk about this in the world. And he talked about how you yourself are as deserving of your attention and your affection as much as anybody else in this world. And that's why he recommended simply sitting there and noticing yourself and whatever emerges. And that effectively is mindfulness meditation. Just being present with whatever emotions, whatever thoughts, whatever feelings come up for us in this moment. Just be present with yourself. That's all he taught. And being present with ourselves is the ability to really be compassionate to ourselves, to accept all of our flaws, all of our gripes, all of our darkness and all of our light. Just to be present with all of that. And once we get good at doing that, once we get good at being present with and being compassionate to all the various facets and different colours within us, then we will get good at doing that for other people too. So it's this lack of self-awareness, this lack of introspection that has led us towards becoming a society where compassion has become devalued, and eventually to create a politics where compassion is almost completely devoid, and a political leadership who are literally allergic to compassion, as we see now in our current Commander-in-Chief in the US. So I've written a book about this called Compassionate Leadership. And the point of the book is to really understand why it is that we've gotten to this position where compassion is so devoid in our society and particularly in our leadership right now. What are the symptoms of this sort of compassion deficit that we see in the world and particularly in our politics today? And then I talk about what actually a compassionate leadership looks like and how we can each become compassionate leaders, again, in whatever field we work in or live in our personal lives or in our professional lives, how we can all become compassionate leaders by paying more attention to ourselves first and then being there for others too. So this book is available from my website called russellsbooks.com, where I sell books all the time to people in this channel. And if you're a member of the channel, if you join the channel, then you'll get it for free, just as you do with all the books I release every month. So this book, Compassionate Leadership, will be available to all members for free. And if you're not a member, you can buy it yourself directly too. And I'll be releasing a book like this, which I write together with my team and some help from technology and a great group of folks who are really very aligned with my own writing philosophies, which we're going to be releasing on a regular basis. So Compassionate Leadership is the latest book that is out right now. I hope that you enjoy it, and I hope you continue to enjoy the learning and the sharing that we're all able to do together on this channel. Thank you.